Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, the Birds are getting screwed by the NFL potentially again. And we have some more evidence as to why Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. Hope you all had a good Memorial Day weekend. You honored our fallen troops, and your weeks are off to a great start. I do want to begin with this, though. Are you a diehard Eagles fan? If you are, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We have a lot of diehard fans who obviously tune into the show. If not, when did your fandom start? And I'm talking about the year. I want you to let me know down in the comment section right now. So let's begin with this. Is the NFL trying to screw the Philadelphia Eagles? It seems as though with all the success that the Eagles are having, the NFL and other teams across the NFL a little bit jealous. Of course, there was the Tush Push saga, which we had to deal with for months, and then that came to a resolution last week. The NFL wanted the Green Bay Packers to propose the Tush Push ban. They basically made the Packers organization, according to reports, the sacrificial lamb. They wanted them to take one for the team, according to those reports. And after the first vote from the initial NFL owners' meetings all the way back in April failed, the NFL tabled the discussion. The Packers ban needed 24 of 32 owners to vote yes on that brotherly shove ban to just get rid of it. Well, it was 16-16, so Roger Goodell delayed it. He tried to sway and convince owners to vote yes on that ban. Well, null and void. It wasn't successful. And the NFL, teams across the league, they kept bringing up all of these safety issues, right? Despite no data saying that the tush push is a dangerous play. And then once things got a little bit heated last week during the NFL owners' meetings, what did Roger Goodell and the NFL do? They brought the discussion for a final vote into a private room. And if you want people to stop talking about conspiracy theories, how about you stop conducting business the way that the NFL does, which then leads to conspiracy theories, right? And by now, a lot of you know my thoughts on the tush push and why I feel as though the NFL has been unfair toward Philadelphia. The Eagles are uniquely built to run this play. Their success rate has gone down, so while they're still very good at it and sometimes elite, other teams have done a better job of defending the play. Other teams have been able to try it. They have the opportunities to run it, yet they've had little success. And the spin zone that myself and Jeffrey Lurie have had, this is a play that actually keeps quarterbacks safe. But I also think the Eagles have been a victim of their own success. Very passionate, loud, and intense fan base, fourth largest media market. Prior to the turn of the century in 2000, this is an organization that hadn't had a lot of success throughout franchise history, but it just seems as though a lot of people are jealous of Philadelphia right now. The tush push is a football play. Nick Sirianni came up with it in a creative fashion back when he was with the Indianapolis Colts. He wanted to protect Andrew Luck, and they had Jacoby Brissett, a quarterback who is very strong with the quarterback sneak. Football is about evolving. The Eagles have evolved, and they've evolved this play. The goal of this play is to exploit opponents' weaknesses. That's what the Eagles do. And the goal of football is about finding what the opposition doesn't do well, and you attack and exploit their deficits. And in football, you stop what your opponent does well. If not, that sucks. And I love the tush push too because it's hat on hat, physicality, and force. And what's so funny is that Chicago Bears coach Ben Johnson last week saying, tush push? Yeah, I'm not a tush push guy. I'm about explosive plays. Well, the Eagles have evolved the tush push to a way where they've had successful plays off of the tush push look, like a lateral and a run or a pass play. They've had trick plays off of the tush push. And Ben Johnson, I know you're about explosive plays, right? And you're about the offense looking sexy and very difficult to defend. Well, it's almost like first downs and touchdowns matter as well, Ben. And the tush push, the brotherly shove, it results in that. As for the Eagles' success rate with this play, 92.3% in 2022, 92.5% in 2023. It went down 10 percentage points in 2024. So why should it be banned? If the Eagles did not win the Super Bowl, we wouldn't have had this conversation over the last several months. And so that was the NFL being against the Eagles with the tush push. Now we have a new wrinkle, a new development, and a new story. Because is the NFL scared of the Eagles' success with how they manage the salary cap and put their roster together? Saw this tweet over the weekend. A lot of you did as well. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said owners had a lengthy discussion at the league meetings about the salary cap system, how well it's working, whether teams are operating within its intended spirit, and what changes might be needed in the next round of the collective bargaining agreement with the players' union. In short, owners are already looking ahead to potential changes to keep the system fair, competitive, and free of loopholes. I think that's a lot of baloney because the NFL is a league of parity. We see teams go from worst to first literally every single year. There have been some dynasties, right? But there are always teams who improve drastically year over year, and the bad teams, they stay bad for a reason. Shouldn't be the Eagles' fault that other teams and owners are cheap. Here's what Roger Goodell said last week. There are no formal plans on any discussions. We obviously continue to be in close communication with the union on a variety of matters, but no start of negotiations have been set or are under consideration really at this point. We did spend time today talking at length about areas of our CBA that we want to focus on. The two areas that we spent time on were really the cap system itself, the integrity of that system, how it's working, where do we need to address that in the context of the collective bargaining when that does happen. That was a very lengthy discussion. Now, a lot of you who are unfamiliar with this might be watching right now. You're a little bit confused, but we got you. We always inform you on this program. That's what we do. How and why does this impact the Eagles? Well, Philadelphia, Howie, Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they are known for backloading contracts, especially in recent years to, let's say, 2028, 2029. Why then? Because in 2029, there's a lot of talk about this new TV deal that is going to get struck. And it is going to have huge implications. It is going to break records. It is going to be massive. It is going to be so lucrative. You see all of these one-off games on Netflix and other services like Peacock being sold for so much money. This is a TV package for the rights to the National Football League. And so with how rich this deal will be, the NFL salary cap is going to skyrocket. And what Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have done, they have spent a lot of cash up front in operating their team, putting together these contracts. They backload these deals so that they're backloaded to manipulate and massage the cap for 2029 when the NFL salary cap will go up, and that will offset a lot of those financials that the Eagles have pushed down the road. So the Eagles' spending strategy has been this: extend players early on rookie deals, convert those salaries into signing bonuses. That spreads the cap payments out over several years. Then the cap dollars become diluted, and those deals escalate to 2029 when the Eagles are like, all right, yeah, under this current cap, that wouldn't be ideal. But if we get that new TV deal, that means that the salary cap goes up in 2029. We can eat those costs easily. And it really cancels everything out. And so that new TV deal is something to remember down the road, and it's going to be here, obviously, before we know it, and it is going to have huge business implications. And there are cheaper owners out there who are not as rich. Obviously, as an NFL owner, all these guys have a ton of money, right? But there's the Jeffrey Luries of the world who are very rich and very aggressive. And those cheaper owners, bet on them. They don't use this strategy. They don't have the same cash flow as the Eagles. Now, the Eagles have a couple of benefits within them, right? Nationwide, worldwide fan base at this point. So much demand. And as far as merchandise sales and ticket sales and them drawing eyeballs with all of their media coverage and all of their primetime games. The Eagles and teams in big markets, just a little bit different as compared to a team in Cincinnati, where there's not as much demand or hype or as large of a media market. But again, this is a Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman strategy that other teams are able to utilize. They decide not to. One of the pluses of this, even though it could impact the Eagles' model with how they do things, is that, yeah, the salary cap is going to be on the uptick. It's going to increase. It could very well skyrocket. I mean, it has so much just in the last 10 years. So if the salary cap does go up, that will give Philadelphia, naturally, more money to spend. This also has implications inside the division. Because if there was no NFL salary cap, or if there weren't some of these rules that the NFL is thinking about implementing, the Dallas Cowboys would be able to take advantage. Jerry Jones is by far the richest owner in all of sports. The Cowboys have the largest evaluation as far as what their franchise would go for if Jerry Jones put that team up for sale, which obviously is not going to do that. But if there was no salary cap, if these rules were not in place, given also with how rich the Cowboys are and no state income tax in Texas, the Cowboys would be able to spend so much more money than anybody else across the NFL. Kind of like how the Dodgers operate right now with being able to buy all types of players because there is no salary cap structure in Major League Baseball. It's also part of the reason why the Philadelphia Flyers have struggled and sucked for the last 10 to 15 years. Now that there is an NHL salary cap, it's impacted a team like the Flyers who can't go out in free agency and just pluck and buy all of the best players. Now you see there's a lot more parity in the NHL. Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Dallas Stars. These are markets obviously well below the Mason-Dixon line, non-traditional hockey cities who are having all of this success. And they're having that success because everybody is on an even playing field with that salary cap. Of course, the NFL has a playing field, but they're thinking about changing some of these rules. But it's really become clear that NFL teams are very jealous of the Eagles' success. How talented they are, Jeffrey Lurie flexing his muscles, how Howie Roseman is just like this legendary figure as a general manager. Very rare that a GM is a celebrity like Howie Roseman. How the Eagles have been able to draft and develop all of these players. How they're able to manipulate the cap and fleece these other teams and have all of this success. Think about all the NFC Championship games they've been in since 2000, right? 4 straight under Andy Reid. Then they went back again in 2009, back again in 17, 22, and 24. Unbelievable run for Philadelphia. And they've won those 2 Lombardi trophies since 2017 as well. The NFL, other teams, you can try to pull out those stops. It didn't work with the brotherly shove. And we're just going to operate under this moniker here. No one likes us. We don't care. Coming up next, more proof that Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. But we need to tell you about this deal thanks to our friends at Fanatics. These Eagles Super Bowl hats, which myself and Chip, we both bought. You've seen us rock these on the show. Unbelievable deal. Remember when you bought them after the Eagles won the Super Bowl? I think I got mine for about $40. They're on sale for only $18. What a deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. All you have to do is use that link down below. chatsports.com/Super Bowl hat. It'll take you to Fanatics. That's more than 50% off from when I got my hat. That was only in February, and it came right before I was going to go to the Eagles Super Bowl parade with Chip and Allie G. Chatsports.com/Super Bowl hat. Get your hats now. What an unbelievable deal to rep the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's move forward here on the show. Coming up here on Philadelphia Eagles now, Chase Sr. here with you. We have more evidence that quarterback Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback in the National Football League. And it's so crazy. The Eagles go out. They dominate the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. Jalen Hurts wins Super Bowl MVP. He played brilliant football in the NFC Championship game, dominant football in the Super Bowl, yet people are still trying to come up with these ludicrous arguments for why Jalen Hurts is not one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And over the weekend, I came across this Twitter thread from Tom Stakes. He's an Eagles fan, and I read through it. And a lot of this is information that we've talked about here on the show, but he outlined it in a way which really backs up the narrative and gives us a lot of supporting points for why Hurts is undervalued, maybe why he's overshadowed by other casuals out there, and it gives more proof as to why Hurts is an excellent quarterback. So let's start off with this tweet, and shout out to Tom Stakes on X. Enough of the surface level stats and scripted excuses. Let's get real, he said. Jalen Hurts plays quarterback at a higher level than Dak Prescott in the playoffs. And obviously, this goes further than just Hurts against Dak. Many fans on Twitter have relied on basic metrics to decipher which quarterbacks are the best, using quantitative statistics to measure qualitative performance traits. For example, touchdown pass total equals greater accuracy. Tom, I like this comparison here. If I told you I had 3 Lamborghinis and my neighbor had 15 Toyota Corollas, which car collection would you say is better? Do you want higher volume or higher quality? Which then transitions into this. If Jalen Hurts is throwing less, compiling less yards, and less touchdown passes in the process, he has immense pressure to make the most out of his dropbacks. Efficiency is the key to the quarterback position. I've talked about this so much here on the show. Everybody wants to rip Jalen Hurts' numbers last year, and they like to say that Hurts was carried. The way that the Eagles were constructed shouldn't knock who Hurts is as a quarterback. Any team that would not rely on a 2,000-yard rusher in Saquon Barkley, who should have won MVP and won Offensive Player of the Year, would be idiotic. Any team that would not rely on the best offensive line in football to open up holes for Saquon Barkley would be idiotic. It is football 101 and really sports 101 to rely on your strengths and rely on your identity. Last year, the Eagles' identity, their strength, was running the football, yet Jalen Hurts still had more than 30 touchdowns combined and 5 interceptions. He played awesome. And then when the Eagles put a lot on his plate in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl, what did he do? He passed the test with flying colors. And so Hurts has been able to do more while showing fewer statistics, but with lesser opportunities. The pressure on him to succeed within those opportunities is greater. So you look at the highest adjusted completion percentage, and this excludes dropped passes, throwaways, spike balls, batted passes, and passes when a quarterback is hit. I posted this on my Instagram, and people are like, all right, so you're just trying to find reasons to explain why Hurts is elite. No, this is when everything is on the quarterback, and he doesn't have to deal with things out of his control. How does he perform? And he's number 1 in the highest adjusted completion percentage. There's a reason why some of the top quarterbacks in the game are on this list. It's Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. This is Hurts doing more with fewer opportunities. And then Tom continued by saying this. There is more to Jalen Hurts' critical decision-making than stats, but this simple metric is a product of the way that he plays the game. How about this? The highest career completion percentage in Super Bowl history in 2 games, 73.3%. Shouldn't we worry and factor in efficiency for a quarterback? Well, Jalen Hurts, he is uber efficient. Football is absolutely a team game, and the way it weaves together can result in ironic statistical compilations, like give my quarterback more help. With a better defense and run game, your quarterback wouldn't compile the high-volume stats that you're using to claim that that quarterback is better. And what this tweet means is that there are casuals out there who will say, well, Jalen Hurts didn't throw for 30 touchdowns. Look at what Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and other quarterbacks did. They put up better numbers. But again, it's going back to what I've said for months. Numbers don't always mean everything. It doesn't always paint the whole picture. It shouldn't serve as the firm foundation of your argument and your talking points. There's also this. The top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL right now have all not won a Super Bowl. Last year, Jalen Hurts, before the Brock Purdy contract, was a top 10 highest paid quarterback. And he did win a Super Bowl. So in this era of stats, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, right? Justin Herbert. Everybody falls in love with these quarterbacks who pad their stats. Which quarterbacks are winning titles? Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. They're winning titles, right? And then there's this, as far as bringing in Dak Prescott to this conversation. Dak and the Cowboys' last 3 playoff losses against the Niners in the wild card round 2021. Pressure rate, 27%. Bad throw percentage, 34%. Sacked 5 times, 1 pick. Against the Niners in the divisional round the following year. Pressure rate, 10%. Bad throw percentage, 16. 1 sack, 2 picks. Against Green Bay in the wild card round. Pressure rate, 16%. Bad throw, 17%. Sacks, 4. INTs, 2. Well, how about how Jalen Hurts has performed, right? Pressure rate, 21% against the Chiefs in 2022. Bad throw percentage, only 9%. 2 sacks, no picks. In 2024, pressure rate, 24%. Bad throw percentage, 18%. 2 sacks, 1 INT. So you notice the bad throw percentage for Jalen Hurts reached over 15% when he was pressured over 20%. Dak's bad throw percentage ascended over 15% on pressure percentages under 20%. And when he saw a pressure rate over 20%, his bad throw percentage skied to over 30%. This is like what we talked about with the Tush push and with the NFL monitoring these salary cap rules. People are against the Eagles. They don't like the fan base. They don't like the team. And so they're going to come up with all of these extracurricular talking points in a way to try to come up with reasons to go against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what happens with this Jalen Hurts conversation. All he's done since he's been the Eagles starter is win, win, win. 2-0 in NFC Championship games. Plays his best football when the lights are the brightest. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. He's torched Spags-led defenses in 2 Super Bowls. And he's put up great numbers. He was second in MVP voting in 2022. And people try to act like he sucks. I'm not buying it. And we're going to continue to come up with data to back up and find reasons why Jalen Hurts is, in fact, one of the top quarterbacks in the game. So I'll leave you with this. Who's better? Is it Jalen Hurts? Is it Dak Prescott? JH for Hurts, DP for Dak Prescott. Let me know down in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much for watching.